Greetings, it's I, Tamara. I'm back with another video dealing with the identity theft and the fact that somebody is using my name. I wanted to start with how I think my name has been confiscated from me, or how it started. And it all started with the death of my father, Nelson Alex Battles Jr. And it started with a court case where a lady opened up a court case, Tamara Battles, excuse me, her name is Tamara Freeman, but on all the paperwork that was typed up by her attorneys, she put on there that her name was Tamara Battles. You can see right there. That's supposed to be the wife. She has herself listed as wife. You see, it's kind of messed up. This is wife. And then there's Nicole, supposed to be a daughter. And then there's me, who was a daughter. Tamara Alicia. And you see the address is at 2318 2nd Avenue. Well, this is for my father's estate. You see Nelson Alexander Battles Jr. in Superior Court. And that was what was used to open up the court case. Well, my father, that was in his name for one. His name is not Nelson Alexander Battles. That was the first red flag. His name is Nelson Alex Battles Jr. And you see she put on there, they have on this paperwork his actual real social security number. You see right there? That's his real social security number. Well, on his death certificate, they put a different social security number. They put 429541125. On this report, it says 429541185. You see, this is the death certificate, which I had them correct his name so that it could be proper. Right there is the social security number. And you can see it's totally different from the one. And this is the death certificate. So when you have the death certificate, what happens is you send this out, and people, banks, or whoever may have property for this person, they can bring that information in and put it in the estate. Well, if you have the wrong social security number on there, a lot of the information, a lot of the property is not going to be documented. So these people purposely put falsified information on these records so they could use them later. And it's been 40 years now. Well, not quite 40, but almost 40 years now. And they're still using the same falsified information. It just happens to be that I went to school to be a legal secretary, and I was raised by a private investigator. So I happen to have a lot of investigative skills, and when things started to look funny, I started to investigate a little bit more. What I found out was that this lady has been acting on my behalf. You see this document? This is from the estate. And it says that Tamara Alicia Battles was distributed property, even though it has no date on it. And you see Tamara Angela, on the behalf of me, went and got the funds out of my dad's estate case. That's the case number right there. I have no knowledge of this. No knowledge of this information. But what I did find out was the whole case was a fraud. The whole entire case is just consisted of documents produced by an attorney, but none of it was signed by any clerks. There's no clerk seals or no judge's signatures on any of these documents. I'm going to show you what I found. Here are the letters of administration that were typed up. As you see, it's for my dad's case. You see, has his name when he died. You see it has Tamara Angela Battles, which her name is Tamara Freeman. I'm Tamara Battles. And you see it has no signature. Everything's just typed up. These are invalid. These are not legal documents. But if you don't know anything about law, or you don't know anything about how court paperwork are supposed to be filed, you wouldn't even know this. So at this time, this lady put this paperwork in as if she was my father's wife, and she was not my father's wife. She put the paperwork in as if she was my mother, and she was not. She also listed 2 children, Nicole and Natasha, on the documents as if they were my father's children in order to get additional benefits, and they were not his children. Then she proceeded to put on his files that he had basically no money, and he made plenty of money. He had actual properties and houses. And the other thing that she did is she used the addresses, a bunch of different addresses. You see this, where she has herself listed as Tamara A and has me listed as Tamara Alicia, and then she has my brother listed as Nelson A. Battles. Well, if my father was a junior, then my brother should be a third. They have him listed down as just a regular old Nelson Battles, even though the estate case is for a Nelson Jr. But this paperwork was filed. Like I said, all of these papers are just filed into the case. When you're dealing with the estate cases, they are they're somewhat private. It's not like, there's a judge going through every step with you or watching everything that you do. So essentially, all of these documents are false. What they did after they opened up this estate case is they closed it and they opened up a guardianship case. You see? And she got fake guardianship letters filed. You see, that says November 1983. My dad passed away in May. And this other court case was opened up in October. See, this is the other court case. It was opened up October. And then November, they opened up a guardianship case so that they could take the money that was in his estate. You see, it says Tamara Battles, and there's no signatures on here. And she's supposed to be the guardian of these children, which is me and supposedly my brothers and sisters. And right here, it says that she notified the parent. So she is not the parent. It says 4 Battles children. And it says the parent was notified. Well, she's the guardian. I mean, she's not the parent. Well, she's the parent of some of these children, but Nelson's not the parent of the children, all of the children. Nelson's only the parent of 2 of the children. Well, she got $30,000 out of his estate case and put it into this guardianship case, which is where they operated the rest of their fraud out of. And like I showed you with the letters of administration, there's no signature. There's no nothing. There's nothing on there that makes it valid. It's just actual falsified paperwork filed into the records. And these records were done in 1983. Well, I turned 18 in 1995. And Nicole turned 18 in 1994. Well, in 1994, she went into the case and she got some money distributed. See, this is a letter that was filed in there, an affidavit actually. See, it's been signed, notarized. I think it's notarized. I don't know for sure. That she got money. And it was a receipt behind it. This was October of 1994. I had no knowledge of this. I didn't even know that happened. She said she got $9,000. Well, I found paperwork in the case that's supposed to be me. And this is not my handwriting. If you look at that notary seal and all of that, you can see this is all forged. Saying I got money out of a Washington Mutual account. Because that's where the money, the receipt came from, a Washington Mutual account that Nicole got the money out of. So these people have actually been stealing my identity since I was a young girl, and they have continued to steal my identity after all of this has went down. My brother passed away in January of 2016, and at that time he told me that he and I were the only biological children of our father, and he had just turned like 35, and I was like, you know, where'd you find that information out? I didn't get too much into it because he had had a stroke the year prior, and he was suffering from expressive aphasia where he couldn't really talk the way he needed to talk, you know, so I didn't pressure him on that issue, but he ended up passing away a few months later, and I wish I would have asked him more. So what I did is went into these court cases, and I found out all this fraud. So in 1983, my father passed away in May. In October, they opened up an estate court case. In 1983, they closed the estate court case. They didn't document his assets at all. They totally didn't document his assets. I have that information, but I'll put it in there later. They just said that he had like $4,000 in the bank. My dad was a longshoreman. He had way more than $4,000. This is what she put, that he didn't have any money. This is what the records say. This is his schedule of assets of what she claims that he had, even though I found later on that he had 2 houses. Well, he had one piece of property that I don't know for sure. That was not even documented, that he sold in 1982. Excuse me. Did he sell it in 1982? No, he sold the house in 1976. He sold 2 pieces of property. Excuse me, not sold. He paid off 2 pieces of property. There was a satisfaction of mortgage on the record, because I went through all the records. I went through the King County records to find out, you know, like what was up there. That's how I found out that my father was actually married for many years to a woman named Elizabeth Battles, and they divorced in 1976, and I found the divorce records and everything on the record. I also found proof that he sued King County. So he fell at a slip and fall in the Kingdom, which now is demolished. Now it's called the Safeco Center or something, wherever the Seahawks, you know, they play at the Safeco now, but it used to be the Kingdom. He fell in the Kingdom, and he sued King County. He got, he basically won the case in 1983, right before he passed away. In May 10th, in May, they sent a letter saying that he had won his case. May 10th, he was dead by May 27th. He died in the same hospital that put the lien on the county for him. The lien, I found the lien on the record. You see? See the address? That's that 23 address. You see it says Nelson A. Battles Jr. They didn't know his middle name. They knew it was something, so they just put Alexander. But this is the lien that was filed by Group Health Cooperative that he placed on King County. And later, he won that case. And somebody named Tamara Battles went in there and collected the funds. It doesn't say how many funds. This is the summons that he was put out for the King County. And it doesn't say how much he won. It just says that Tamara went in there August of 1983 and got that money. So in August 1983, she went and collected money, supposedly. It doesn't say how much or anything. You know, all these documents are fraudulent. And then they did an estate case, but they didn't even mention that he had won and been awarded a settlement in a personal injury case against the King County. It's not even mentioned. You see, it says he had $4,000. It doesn't mention any of his properties that he has. Well, what they did was, he died in 1983. They went back into the case, opened up his estate case again. You see, this is a guardian ad litem report. This is a case from 1986. So he died in 83. They went back into his case in 86 and sued Group Health Cooperative, the actual hospital that was the hospital he went to when he got hurt previously, in 1980, when he fell in the kingdom. So all of this is connected. They're all doing fraud. Well, this case dealing with the wrongful death, because this is what they put on their wrongful death, that the doctor should have known he had heart problems or whatever. In this case, in this guardian ad litem report, I actually found information saying that this lady has been collecting all kind of funds under my dad's estate. None of these documents, none of this information is documented in his estate. All of these are separate cases. He was awarded an actual settlement back in 1983 of $170,000, which was supposed to be paid to the Battles family, which technically is me and my brother. Well, she included herself and her children. None of this information was included in his estate case. I found this, like I said, it's a whole nother case number, H6. All this information is in different cases. The information about the $170,000 lien, that is not in the estate case. That's not in the guardianship case. It just says something about $30,000 that she had set up, supposedly, to be split up between the 4 children when we turn 18. It's all fraud. So after finding this out, I became very agitated, of course, and I decided to stay away from them because I knew my identity had been sold, and I had already put in a lot of affidavits of identity theft, you know, going through my credit reports trying to figure out what was going on and why this had happened. Well, when I started digging around, I found out that this lady, Tamara, is actually using multiple identities. You see, I found this on the record. This one says her name is Tamara A. Battles. It says she was born March 20th, 1955, which that's when I thought she was born. Well, she also has information on record saying that she was born March 15th, 1957. And her name is spelled with a Tamara. So all of these things brought up extreme red flags for me. And you notice the address is 7414 South 114th Street, where we grew up. We basically lived in that house from 1984 until, you know, puberty. Well, when I looked up the records for that house, I found a deed of trust from my stepfather, Joseph Gordon. You see that? Joseph Gordon has the address 7414 South 114th Street. And you see it has there that Tamara Angela is listed as his domestic partner. And she's supposed to have rights and enjoyment of the property as long as she's living When they die, or when they both die, the property is supposed to be, the sales from the property is supposed to be going to her non-biological children. So even though we never talked about this, because you know certain families don't talk about certain things, as far as people being biological children or not biological children, he knew that she wasn't my biological mother. I didn't know that. My brother didn't know it. We didn't know this information. You know what I'm saying? All this was found out very, very, you know, for us, for me, this is 2019. I found out in 2015 when my brother told me. I got it confirmed in 2016 when I found these documents. And then on this deed of trust, it has her sister, Thomasina Freeman, at 522 Southwest Langston Place, listed as the trustee. So she knew, their whole family is aware that this woman is not my mother, but she's using the name Tamara Battles, even though she was never married to my father. Her name is Tamara Freeman. That's when I start looking through my credit reports, and I start seeing that the addresses listed on my credit report were actually her siblings. Her brother, Teddy Theodore Freeman, his address was listed on my credit report. Her sister, which is Thomasina Freeman, her address is listed on my credit report. They're currently using her address to do fraud. And me, you know, back in the day, not knowing what was going on, when I left Seattle in 2005, 2005, I moved to Virginia. I went working contract through the shipyards. I went to Virginia, and I ended up getting hurt out there and kind of getting stuck out there. Well, while I was out in Virginia, I had her daughter, Mary, she was living with her mother at that time, collect my mail for me. You know, so I never lived at 522 Southwest Langston Place, but I did use it as a residential address on my driver's license for the state of Washington while I was traveling, you know, working with the shipyards. Well, that address is currently being used to steal my identity. And here's proof that I used this address. Here's my records. For my disability, when I got hurt, I had to go through the U.S. Department of Labor and file a claim. You see it says Granby in Virginia on Granby Street. Excuse me. It says the Granby Mall. It's the federal building. But either way, this was information that I was in Virginia. You see? And I was using the address 522 Southwest Langston Place. And as you see, it says 2010 and 2009. Well, this piece of paper said that they paid me $49,000. I never got $49,000. So I started really questioning what was going on. So I asked my cousin, because she gave me this receipt. But she gave it to me probably in like 2012, you know, because every once in a while she'd be like, oh, I found some mail for you, you know, here's your mail. And so I was like, girl, they say they paid me $49,000. I was been in Virginia homeless going through all this stuff, and it said that they sent money. So where's the money? And she was like, well, my mom was checking the mail too, and if she seen something with your name or this name on it, she thought sometimes it might have been for your mom. And I was like, why would my mom be getting mail at your mother's house? You know, that she has her own home. She has two homes. Why would she be getting mail at your mother's house for me? Well, it comes to find out, as you see, she was listed as the trustee for the deed of trust that my stepfather put together back in 1980. What was that? 1989. She's listed. That's the same address, 522 Southwest Langston Place. 1989. She's listed as the trustee. So she has been facilitating the identity theft. And they've even continued on to this year. So when my brother passed away, I opened up an estate case for him. Well, He passed away in January. When I start finding out about all this fraud and I start realizing, okay, his name is Nelson Alexander Battles Jr. My dad's name was Nelson Alex Battles Jr., but all the paperwork, the falsified paperwork said Nelson Alexander Battles Jr. I knew there was a problem. So I went in and I set up my brother's estate to protect my father's name, which I'm an heir of his estate, and to protect my brother's name. Well, his baby's mother, along with this guardian, Tamara Freeman, that's been using the name Tamara Battles, and her daughter, Nicole Battles, which she's been using my name as well. She's been a part of the fraud. When my brother passed away, he passed away in January. In May, I think, I can't remember, but yeah, May, Tamara had, they found 2 aneurysms or 3 aneurysms in her brain. So she had brain surgery. And I went to the hospital and I was participating, and, you know, Mary was like, oh, well, you know, just be very careful about your keys. You don't want your keys around them. You don't want them making copies of your keys. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? You know, it kind of got me thinking something ain't right. And then, you know, they just started acting real funny. They didn't give me no answers. They were treating me like crap. And keep in mind, I'm still grieving over my brother, you know, not knowing what's going on. So I decided to stay away from her. When I found this information out about this and, you know, her not being my mother, I didn't even ask them what they were up to, because of how they acted when my brother passed away. Because technically, if she's not his mother, she didn't have any business doing anything with his estate, as far as with his funeral records and all of that. That was supposed to be on me. I'm his closest living relative, right? Well, her daughter, Nicole, and her brother's children, her brother Theodore, his children, started attacking me online, and I just couldn't deal with it. I was like, okay, I don't know what's wrong with these people. You know, my brother just passed away. I just don't want to deal with it. And now I realized they were doing all of this so that they could basically take control over my brother's information, and therefore take control over my father's information to continue the fraud that's been going on for all these years. Well, they actually hired an attorney to go into my brother's estate case, which I am the personal representative. I still am the personal representative. And they had this attorney create all these falsified documents. Well, once I figured out about the fraud going on with me, I went and did a change of address. So I got all my mail that was going to all these different addresses that were on my credit report. I had them all come to where I'm at now, which is 3028 First Avenue, right? That's the mailing address for the location that I'm at. Well, lo and behold, this is what came in the mail. An address, a letter addressed to Tamara Battles L, and I got a name change, putting the L on there, thinking that would stop whoever was stealing my identity. I didn't know it was my fake foster mom and her family doing it. And you see, it got forwarded to my new address. You see the date. That date is October 17, 2017. So this is proof that they're collecting mail under my name. Now they could say, oh, they were doing it for Tamara, the so-called mother. But this piece of mail has Tamara L, and it was addressed to me based upon the paperwork that I filed onto my brother's estate case. Well, the address 522 Southwest Langston Place was nowhere on that information. You see, and they didn't know I had got the mail for it, so they don't probably even know right now that I have that, you know, proof that they're actually impersonating me at this address right now. But going back to when my brother died, when my brother passed away, and they found out that Tamara had this aneurysm in her brain. Nicole had Tamara come to 522 Southwest Langston Place, which is our auntie's house, right? And she had one of her friends who was a notary come up to the house and actually do a power of attorney for Tamara Battles at this 522 Southwest Langston Place. And I was like, why would you use that address when this Tamara, was Tamara Freeman acting as Tamara Battles? She lives in Oregon. She actually lives in Richland, Oregon. Why would you put 522 Southwest Langston Place on a power of attorney? They'll probably think it's me. Well, she started, oh, you're stupid, you're ignorant, just going off. That's her motive, that's what they do when they're starting to get caught on what they're doing. They start just, slinging insults and slandering. And I told the notary, I actually recorded this whole incident. Well, not the whole incident of her, going off on me, but when that notary got there and I was like, I'm not comfortable with this, and I let him know, like, hey, this is my name and this is a previous address I used, so why would you do a power of attorney for somebody that doesn't even live in this state and put that address down there as an address? This is my name. So Nicole Battles has a power of attorney over a Tamara Battles, saying that this is her mother, right? And she said she wanted to do it to facilitate with my brother's funeral, whatever she had to do for his funeral, basically to take control out of my hands and put it into their hands. So they are doing fraud underneath my name at this address, 522 Southwest Langston Place. And they know exactly where I live. I'm going to show you proof if they know where I live, because our grandmother, which my brother told me, my grandmother passed away October 1st. My birthday is October 2nd. She passed away October 1st, 2016. And my brother passed away January of 2017. I keep on saying 2016. He passed in 2017. Well, there was a letter. You see it says Freeman, 522 Southwest Langston Place. You see it says Tamara Battles L, 301 Union Street. This is for my P.O. Box address at the time. But she knows I don't live there. This is a thank you card for coming to my grandma's funeral. And as you see, it was sent November 2016. So why is it that in October of 2017 they're sending mail and she's accepting mail at her house under my name? So these people are stealing my identity, and they're using different addresses, which I've been saying for a long time. It's just I've been sick. Shortly after I opened the estate case, I start having like a bad sinus infection in my eye, start hurting my ear. I couldn't really hear. I went to the eye doctor. I went to the ear, nose, and throat surgeon. I did all kinds of stuff, and I basically been healing myself with herbal remedies. Recently, my medical cards, my medical has been being tampered with. The name Tamara, because I changed my name 2 times since the Tamara Ill. I changed it to T.A. Battle. Then I changed it to Tamara Alicia, because I just wanted to hold Battles off. I didn't want to use Battles period, because I knew that they were taking some kind of control over that name. Well, recently, this is 2019, somebody has started to use these names, and they actually changed the name on my disability account through the state of Washington, my DSHS, my welfare account. Basically, they changed the names back, which shows me that somebody is back at stealing my identity. I don't know what they're doing. Based on my credit report, they have multiple bank accounts open up in my name, and I actually found some information. Shortly after my grandma died, I went up to her house, and my uncle brought me down to the basement, and he had like a file cabinet filled with information from our old house at 7414 South 114th Street. He told me I could take whatever had my name on it that had to deal with me or my brother. And so there was all kind of bank statements, and on these bank statements, Nicole was listed as a guardian over me and my brother, which brought up a red flag. So, and this was from 1997. Well, in 1997, I was 20 years old. There would have been no reason for Nicole to be listed as anything for me to be collecting any funds. So they've been doing this fraud for a long time. A very, very, very long time. And I want to have this information out there because I am under attack. They actually sent the police to my apartment. And what saved me was, for one, I didn't do nothing wrong. And for two, they actually used the name Tamara Battles Ill. And I had got a name change to Tamara A. Battle. To T.A. Battle. And it was like, you know, whoever sent the police, they obviously knew me, and they used a falsified report. Well, maybe about 5 months ago, one of my relatives in Arkansas called me, and they told me that Nicole called them and told them that I was crazy, and you know, like I was clinically crazy, which I'm not clinically crazy. I do have PTSD, anxiety, depression, but I'm not clinically insane. You know what I'm saying? I just don't need to be working. I'm not deemed insane or any kind of insanity. But it got me thinking, like, well, they had me under this Uniform Minors Act. Maybe they do have some kind of paperwork saying that I'm insane or Tamara's insane, because this other Tamara has been like wigging out with these brain aneurysms and stuff. She's been like wigging out. She actually shot off a gun, calling the police for no reason, just doing all kinds of strange stuff under the name Tamara Battles. And she also told my cousin that I was stealing her mother's identity, that I was getting my credit under her mother's identity. And I was like, this is crazy. You know, I haven't had any, once I figured out what was going on, I stopped communication with these people. So I haven't had any communication with them in over 2 years. And for her to call my cousin out the blue and basically slander my name and say all of these things, which my cousin called me and let me know, like, hey, this lady who says she's your sister, you know, is calling me and, you know, going all the way to the left of what she's saying about you. And I just wanted to let you know. That brought up a red flag for me again, of course, because these people are the same people who's been stealing my identity all this time. So on my credit report, there's an address of 11030 Beacon Avenue. Well, that address is a house that Nicole lived at, that Tamara was owning. And when I came back into Seattle, I had a electricity bill under my social security number, because it was on my credit report, at that address where Nicole was living. So Nicole has been stealing my identity for years, for multiple years. And I'm going to get into that a little bit more. I just wanted to get into the name Tamara, and I wanted to let people know why I'm saying that this lady is not my mother, why I'm saying that this lady's name is not Tamara Battles. Her name is not Tamara Battles Gordon. Her name is Tamara Freeman. And she's been using my name to embezzle funds out of my father's estate. Because as you see from the paperwork, she's been, let me say this too. She's been getting a check for $8,000, well, it's like $5,000 plus the Social Security benefits of her being a widow, from a special fund for the longshoremen, for the Harbor Worker Act, for the maritime, whatever that paperwork says. She's been getting payments of $5,000. So instead of the lump sum of $170, she's been getting these payments every month for almost 30 years under my name through a U.S. bank account. Well, Nicole worked for U.S. Bank. And I found out that there was some funds in a U.S. bank account with my name on it. So I did an affidavit of identity theft, got it notarized, and I put these this bank account information on there. Well, later on, last year, I got letters in the mail from U.S. Bank. And these letters were already open. As you see, it's a photocopy of whatever U.S. Bank sent me in color. Somebody sent it to me. Gave me whatever they took out of the envelope. Because somebody's been opening my mail, like I've been saying. And they gave me the leftovers. Let me see. U.S. Bank sent me information about bank accounts that they did find with my name and with my information. But for some reason, they didn't get my affidavit of identity theft. And I don't know what they have gotten or what they've done, because my mail is being tampered with. So right now, I'm in the process of trying to regain my identity while I have a whole family of people doing fraud and trying to keep me from my benefits and using their addresses to collect mail in my name, acting as if they are me, when in actuality they're not. This video is getting kind of long, so I want to end it here, and I'm going to go into a part 2, because this is the first time they've falsely called the police on me, but I have the proof of that as well. I want to go into that, of how Tamara embezzled funds and actually purchased property in Oregon with funds that were intended for me, but there's no way for me to really find out what they were, what they are, because they've been keeping this information from me, and they've been slandering my name to the utmost degree. So thank you for listening. I'm going to end this video and start another one explaining what happened in Oregon in 2015. Thank you.